Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Priceless Podcast. I'm the Priceless Podcast host, Michael Sechen. This podcast is made in partnership with the European Forum of LGBT Christian Groups. If you want to support this podcast, you can find the link in the podcast description. So let's go to our new guest today, who comes from Portugal.
I'm Ricardo. I'm from Portugal. I'm 43 years old, almost 44 next month, and I identify myself as a cisgender gay man. I was born in a Catholic family, but they don't go to church. I decided to go by myself when I was like 11 or 12 years old. So I'm baptized. I was raised as a Catholic. I think I always knew I was gay since I was a kid, like with 3-4 years old. I was born in 79, and being gay until 2000, it was really a huge taboo in society. It was expected from society, from my family, to study, to get married, to have kids, and not grow up and marry a man. So it was really not easy to accept myself. Being homosexual in Portugal for like 20-30 years ago, I was almost 30 years old when I came out to my family and friends. Yeah. Yes, it was a process, of course, but they accepted me as I am, and I have no problems with my sexual orientation, not with my family, neither with my friends. I am really well accepted as I am. Yeah. I was taught in church that homosexuality was a sin. So what have I done? I followed the rules by the book. I went to church. I went to the mass at Sundays. I dated a girl. I didn't accept myself. I wanted to be another person, and that led me to a path, to some choices that I really regret. Like having high consumption of alcohol and sometimes drugs, because I didn't accept it myself, and I didn't felt accepted by church. The priest at the time, he told me, you can be whoever you want to be, but be careful because people talk and you can suffer from discrimination and bias. And yeah, I felt it really bad, because for me it was a sin, and the first thing I've done when my priest talked to me was to go to church and to confess my sins, because I was feeling like really bad. I was my biggest enemy in all this process of self-acceptance. I boycotted myself by dating a girl for 7 years. We were about to get married, and I desperately wanted to be a father, because I was convinced that being homosexual was a illness, and I can get cured by marrying and by doing what other people do. You see, at the 6th year of dating, I was living a double life. Like at the weekends, we were young and we go out clubbing, and by midnight, 1 a.m., I was like, Anna, I need to drive you home because I'm tired. I need to sleep. So I left her home and I went back to Lisbon to go to gay clubs and to saunas, and I felt like I was a failure by living a double life, and at some point I had to say no. Yeah, we're big friends for more than 30 years, so we continue with an amazing friendship. I regret not being honest since the beginning, but I could not be honest to her because I wasn't honest to myself. So after my breakout, when I had 31, 32, I did all the crazy stuff people do when they get divorced, like clubbing, drinking, drugs, all the crazy stuff you can imagine. And I felt a big hole. I turned myself to church again. And it's interesting because this God I got to know in my 30s, completely different from the one I knew when I was younger. I had this God that is love and not a punishing one. But then I found out that I was HIV positive. Having HIV, it's like a second coming out. When I found out I was infected, also due to my lack of knowledge, it was the end of the world for me. I thought, okay, I'm going to die, so it's a really complicated process for the most of people who live this situation. But then I started treatment, and I can tell you that I live for almost 10 years with the infection, and I've never been so so good. The moment I decided to coming out as an HIV infected person, I felt like, oh, I'm free now. I worked with two NGOs here in Portugal for people with HIV, and for what I know, there's a lots of infections right now, but they occur within the heterosexual community because people still think it's a gay disease. I cannot transmit it because I do the treatment, and lots of people still thinks that they're going to have get infected if they have sex with me. I'm really proud in believing in a God that it's love, and it's always with me despite my good and bad decisions. I'm baptized. I believe in God. I feel great when I go to church, when I have communion. So I have the same right as the others to be in church and to be part of the church. I can say that there was some priests, they have a more open mind that helped me, and that helped me nowadays doing this journey. And it's really complicated for them. I wasn't able to do it a few years ago, but now I'm totally able to put their shoes. They have such an understanding of this love of God that it's amazing, and they do all the difference in my life, in my personal case, and in the case of some friends I have. Yes, we quit church, we left church behind, but with the belief that God is always with us and He doesn't judge us for who we love. For me, it's really important to be true to myself, and I think everyone should be true to their beliefs, to who they are, not hide their sexuality, because as I said, and I really want to point this sentence, God loves us no matter what, and we should not give up on Him because He never gave up on us.
Thank you, dear viewers and listeners, for being with us. This podcast is made in partnership with the European Forum of LGBT Christian Groups. Don't forget to support this podcast. This podcast actually exists because of the support by individuals and by people who help me to sustain it with their donations. See you next time. Until then, bye everyone, and bye Ricardo.
Thanks, Mihail, for letting me share my story.